How do you not get excited after watching that? The Stanley Cup playoffs are here. This is The Drop, our ESPN digital hockey program. Greg Wyshynksi, Arda, Ocal. Pleased to be joined, graced in the company of the three-time Stanley Cup champion, Chelios. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
no worries, man.
It's great. We'll talk about everything that's happened. Of course, let's get everyone primed up on the schedule and why exactly you're wearing a suit and we're not. Chelly's going to be part of the coverage. Intermissions with Steve Levy, Mark Messier on these games right here. The Bruins and Hurricanes on ESPN. That's a 7 Eastern start. As soon as you're done watching us, head on over to ESPN to catch that game. 7:30 Eastern, the defending Stanley Cup champs looking to make it 1-1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. Great reporter on that game as well, Kaylee Chelios. Also, the doubleheader, Blues and Wild, 9:30. That's at ESPN. And the Kings and the Oilers. Some tantalizing game twos. They begin here Wednesday on ESPN. Why don't we talk about what happened yesterday? Triple overtime game.
Amazing game. I think that, Pittsburgh, ultimately, other than the first period, kind of outplayed them second and third period. Tons of shots, tons of chances. They didn't have an answer for Crosby. And ultimately, Crosby came and got the 2 assists that got them going. But terrific game. Shesterkin, exactly what you thought was going to happen. Gensel, he knows where to go. And like he said in his interview, Sidney's going to give him the puck. And then Malkin, at the end, didn't do too much during the game, but, he gets in front of that net. He's a big body and no chance on that goal. Shesterkin had no chance.
All right, so let's talk about Louis Domingue for a second, okay? Second overtime, Casey DeSmith gets hurt. Louis Domingue comes off the bench. Thought the referees were joking when they said, come on into the game and come and play.
Yeah.
And the thing I wanted to ask you about is, it is now canon, thanks to our Emily Kaplan, that Louis Domingue ate a bowl of spicy pork and broccoli between the first and second period. That's the post-game meal. He thought he wasn't going in. He's a spectator. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat the spicy pork. He said he regretted it. In your overtime experience, what was the food like? Do you ever see anybody eat something strange between periods?
No, we, never even thought occurring to eat food. I mean, there's oranges, there's fruit, but like solid food like what he did, that's crazy. And the way he tells the story, if you didn't know him then, you're going to know him now. What a great interview and a story, and to finish it with a win.
Yeah, for sure.
All minor hockey goalies now eating spicy pork and broccoli before their appearance.
Good luck, if anything, right? Yeah.
Exactly. What did you think of the Rangers almost won this game?
Yeah.
The goal was called back. What did you make of that play?
We all agreed, even when it first happened, without even looking at an interview, Mess said, it's no goal. And we have the luxury of looking at it, a couple times. But you see here, Dumoulin plays it perfect. He doesn't push the Ranger player into the goalie. And you could see, after watching it a couple times, the one thing that really stuck out in my mind was how the right foot dragged the goalie out of the net. And, it was a pretty easy call. But again, you never know. And great drive to the net. And it didn't work out for the Rangers, and unfortunately for Pittsburgh, they were able to win the game after that.
For sure. Credit to Andy Saucier and the Pittsburgh coaching staff for being able to figure out to challenge that. There was 3:10 left in the game. They get it wrong. Rangers get a power play. That could be curtains.
Call. They're 8-0, I think they said. Sully with his video coach. So you bought to buy him dinner, buy him a drink, buy him something.
All right, let's
have a steak medium, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure. So let's talk about the Panthers. Okay, this is your President's Trophy winning team. I feel like the Capitals look across the ice at the Panthers and say to themselves, hey, I know this team. This was us back in 2009. This was us back in 2010. A team that could score at will in the regular season, and then they get in the playoffs, somebody plays little D against them, and all of a sudden things go sideways. What do you think about the Panthers? Are they going to be able to recover in this series?
I think so. I mean, they had a great season. They've got some great players. They don't shy away from the physical play, Huberdeau and Barkov. It's great they got Ekblad back, and Bobrovsky played a great game. All the credit goes to Washington. They were good from the drop of the puck to the end of the game. The big stars came up big. Wilson with that first goal wasn't a power play goal, but then you see Ovechkin with the big poke check there to get the breakaway. And then Oshie ultimately, scoring that game winner. So Washington's got a great team. They got great players, and they've been there before. So it's going to be a great series.
Yeah.
340 goals for the Panthers. That's the highest scoring NHL team since 95, 96. Now, speaking of teams, now this is a team that people expected to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
A team coming into the regular season that people were not high on, the Los Angeles Kings. People were talking about it's the end of the old guard. Jonathan Quick, Anze Kopitar and company, maybe this is the final hurrah. Maybe they'll go out with a whimper. Not so.
No.
Not only do they book their ticket to the postseason, but they're up 1-0 against the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid and company. What'd you make of Game 1?
I mean, Edmonton, McDavid, he made that one play, and you thought, here we go again. He scores that goal, comes end to end, and here we go. It's going to be another McDavid highlight night. But they do a great job containing him. And let's be honest, Jonathan Quick had to stand on his head at some points of the game. But still, great effort by LA. One play there, they made a little hiccup. Guys caught drifting and watching the puck, leaving Draisaitl by himself. Don't leave him by himself. That's a mistake. But again, LA showed some great character and guts. I love those veteran players, even guys like Brown, and Kopitar. He's a beast. He's showing no signs of slowing down. He's hard to handle, and he had a terrific game.
Yeah, they had him on McDavid most of the time. I mean, him and Deneau as a 1-2 punch on that team, putting him up against Connor and Leon is a pretty good advantage for the Kings. Yeah. So I want to ask you about Canada for a second. Now, there's a couple of extraordinarily proud Americans on this panel and one other guy. Do you think
you won a Stanley Cup in Canada?
Do you think this is the year? Do you think this is the year when a Canadian team wins the Cup for the first time since 1993?
Man, the pressure on those Canadian teams, I've been there, they take it to heart, those fans, and it works for you and against you. And I don't know if that's the issue, but if there was ever a great chance, like Calgary and Edmonton. One of them, Colorado, is going to be the only one standing in their way, whatever the matchups end up. But you could pick them there. I think if I was going to pick a team, the favorite, Colorado. But Calgary, the way they play hard, the goaltender, they're solid. Daryl, he's got them playing hard. You saw how they came out yesterday and they win a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
So they can win anyway. They can run and gun. They can play solid D, and they got the goaltending.
Of the three, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, which one has the best chance to win the Cup?
Calgary.
All right.
So
sorry, Leaf fans.
Put it into perspective. The Pittsburgh Penguins had a 25-shot period, the second period, against the Rangers in Game 1. The Dallas Stars, 16 shots total. I mean, holy moly.
But close game.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask. Give yourselves a chance to win, and they did. So if I was Dallas, I'd be pretty happy. But they got to find a way. They got to crowd that goalie.
They certainly do.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, but you've got to bump them. I watched last night, Pittsburgh, Shesterkin ended up out of the crease. They ran into him in the overtime. Probably would have been a penalty at that time, but that's got to play on him. He looks pretty composed, Shesterkin, but they don't like getting bumped. So that's what Calgary, they're going to have to do that with Calgary, Dallas.
You've been generous with your time. Last question for you. We know you got to get into studio. Remember, Chris Chelios, Mark Messier, Steve Levy will be part of coverage pre and post intermissions for all the games happening on ESPN and ESPN2 tonight. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Based on what you saw Game 1, sure, it could be an anomaly. The Maple Leafs were great in that game, but does it give you any pause or concern for the Lightning in this series?
Not yet. I think they played the worst game they possibly could, and it started with that power play, the 2-minute power play, then the 5-minute major power play. They gave up 3 2-on-1s. Their passing was off. They were just a step behind everywhere, and I don't know if they weren't ready or sometimes you come out flat, and they did. I don't think a veteran team like that, I don't think they were overconfident or unprepared. They just came out flat from the get-go. So look for them to have a much better game. But for Toronto, they may give them some life and some confidence. The Leafs, they needed a game like that after the last regular season game they played against each other, which meant nothing, but maybe to Toronto it did.
All right, so we've had 5 teams attempt a three-peat since the Islanders in the early 80s. They all failed. Lightning three-peat?
I mean, there's a reason why. It must be pretty hard, but God, I'm going to stick with the Lightning just because Vasilevsky, Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, they point, and you go down, and they've been there, and they seem to be a team who does manage to turn it on and off, and they've lost the first game a few times already in the playoffs and come back and won the series and the 2 cups. So, I still got to stick with Tampa.
The great Chris Chelios, you can catch him ESPN and ESPN2. 4 Game 2s happening tonight. Speaking of triple headers, 3 straight days. You in studio, the point, intermission reports. Now you're here on the drop.
I'd rather be on the ice than in a studio. Thank God it wasn't one of the late games. Jeez, me and Mess would be sleeping over here. But
We'll put some ice down on the studio for you or something. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Ever since the show went to high-definition technology, we've had to hire a much more sophisticated staff.
Excuse me. Just no. Why you gotta throw my racket?
Once they start to grasp sports, man, possibilities are endless.
So is there a quarterback controversy in New York?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yes. May the 4th be with you. The 4th is in all of us.
They were actually at a coffee. That was a documentary. That was a documentary shot from
It
before.
really was. Chewie's here, Mando's here. In honor of May the 4th, my favorite holiday of the year, we decided, you know what? All of the NHL playoff teams, they've got the 4th in them as well. So we're going to equate the playoff teams to Star Wars characters.
That's correct.
Can you do the Phil Kessel run in 982 parsecs?
Of course I can, man. It's like bullseyeing womp rats back in Beggar's Canyon.
Exactly. All right, why don't you get things started? Playoff teams, which ones are you going to start with?
All right, I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Lightning, my Mandalorian friend. The Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, are like Luke Skywalker, conquered in the past, but tired and needs a break. And also, they're losing a hand by not having Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow, and Yanni Gourde there anymore.
Yes, still very strong, but the question is, do they still have energy?
Right.
Do they need to go to the mountains and recharge? That's what we're curious about. We don't know. Or that island off of Tampa. The Toronto Maple Leafs, easy one. Darth Vader. Everyone's nemesis. A loathsome villain who is secretly frail and defeated, desperately seeking redemption. I don't know if they're frail. At least not after game number 1.
I mean, psychologically, they probably are.
Fair enough.
All right. The Florida Panthers, hyperspace. An unbelievably fast and wild ride, but without precise calculations, we could fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova, and that would end your trip real quick, now wouldn't it, son?
I didn't know that we could choose like spaces.
You could
just
choose
like,
anything you
Oh,
want.
okay. Anything in the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I could have picked the end credits if I wanted to here.
Just the rolling credits.
right.
We didn't do that. The Washington Capitals, General Grievous. Why? Some would say more machine than man, but with little to no defense. Don't tell them that after game 1.
Right. All right, the New York Rangers. Who else? Baby Yoda. Because they have one extremely good skill, Igor Shesterkin, and they are still trying to fight even though they were a little too young for it.
I'm a fan of that one. Maybe because I wrote that one, but nevertheless, big fan. How about their first round opponents, the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Oh.
Palpatine. Why? The most powerful force in the galaxy now? A decaying vessel. Somehow, Evgeny Malkatine returned to the postseason. Is that why you picked that? This is yours. You picked that for Malkatine?
I think this battle station will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
Up next is the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes, near and dear to your heart. The Mandalorian Mando. Reliable, responsible, rarely makes a defensive lapse, offensively potent, in great shape, no nonsense. And I believe their goaltending is made of Beskar, as well as, from what I understand.
Probably is.
It probably is.
That is the way. This is the way. How about the Boston Bruins? This one is easy. Speaking of my dear friend over here, it's Chewie. You know why? Space Bear.
Space Bear. Chewie's a Space Bear. That's all. That's all we got. We could have made a Jar Jar Binks tongue thing with Marchand. We figured that was overplayed. Space Bear. That's what you get. How about the St. Louis Blues? Here we go. Another non-character for you, Mando. The prequels. You know, it took a few years, but we finally remembered that the St. Louis Blues are actually pretty good. Except for Attack of the Clones. But the St. Louis Blues are actually pretty good.
You think the prequels are actually pretty good?
I am a Phantom Menace defender to the death, and I think Revenge of the Sith is a pretty good movie, and there was one in between them, I understand.
Our producer, Kenny, is telling me we don't have enough time to debate this. Otherwise, we'd be here for like 4 hours, okay? We would be here forever, people. All right, we're moving on. The Colorado Avalanche, they are the Death Star. Look at inanimate objects. How about that? Enough weaponry to destroy a planet, but some plucky farm boys is gonna hit that exhaust duct with their torpedoes to destroy it.
That's right, exactly. A fatal flaw planted there. See Rogue One for more information.
Great movie. That's a great one. Terrific.
It's a great last 40 minutes of a movie. All right, Minnesota Wild. We're going with
We're going with Ray.
to quote Finn, Ray! Ray! Ray is undeniably powerful, but it comes a little too easy to them, maybe?
Not in this series so far.
No, not at all.
In general, perhaps. The trade deadline seemed to have come pretty easy. They just got everything they needed.
Just
and
had a guy
wanted.
that said, I want to play for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take the goaltender that said he didn't want to move. All of a sudden, he's moving over to Minnesota. Yep, no problem. This is the way, apparently. The Nashville Predators are C3PO for the color scheme, obviously, but also never tell me the odds.
Yeah.
The Preds are the biggest underdog.
Yeah, the Preds were did you see the over-under in the first period of game one was 9.5 goals during the first period? I've never seen that before.
No,
in my entire life.
that seemed a little egregious.
All right, let's go on to the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers are, of course, the Sarlacc. Is it just us, or does it feel like McDavid and Draisaitl have fallen into the great pit of Carcoon and are slowly digesting for over 1,000 years without a playoff series victory? Save them! Find a way! Lando, use your little metal thing to pull them out of the Sarlacc before they're digested.
You know what, Boba Fett? You got out of the Sarlacc pit.
He did?
You were unscathed. You somehow managed to live. Why don't you help out Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl so that they may not suffer the same fates of many others that fall into the Sarlacc? No. No. We are appreciating what we're seeing, even though it's tough sledding so far for the Edmonton Oilers. The Sarlacc is getting closer and closer. The Los Angeles Kings, meanwhile, they are Ewoks. Why are they Ewoks? A mix of all the new, everyone just thought they were cute and cuddly and wouldn't make the playoffs until they showed their teeth.
And they obviously worship the Predators as their god because he's golden. It's canon.
Something like that.
All right, the Dallas Stars, ladies and gentlemen, of course, are stormtroopers. There are a few really good ones, but they mostly struggle against their opponents. I'm guessing we're talking about shots here. The ones that they actually are able to get against the Calgary Flames. They only had 16 of them in game one.
Yeah, also the top line.
Yeah.
Few good ones.
Few good ones.
Exactly. And also, I think they had one color scheme, one uniform fit that looked like stormtroopers as well.
Yeah.
So
Truth.
that fits as well.
Truth.
And glow sticks. Also glow sticks. Finally, the Calgary Flames are Yoda. Why are they Yoda? More because of Daryl Sutter, a wise but curmudgeonly sage who shares his wisdom to teach a new generation of hockey Jedi.
Resign Johnny Gaudreau, you will.
Yes. So those are our picks, NHL playoff teams as Star Wars characters. Now, if you're wondering, yes, we did select Darth Vader to equate to the Toronto Maple Leafs, but breaking news here on The Drop, Darth Vader actually has a choice for his favorite goaltender. Listen to this.
The force is strong in Bobrovsky. The force is strong in Bobrovsky. The force is strong in Bobrovsky. The force is strong in Bobrovsky.
Darth Vader was saying Bobrovsky if it wasn't entirely obvious.
Bobrovsky.
Exact, just like that. Speaking of goaltenders, on Sunday, the Edmonton Oilers called up goaltender Olivier Rodrigue, who has a very similar name to a very famous musician. There's the tweet. The responses to the tweet was where the interest really lies. Olivia Rodrigo, obviously, is who I'm talking about here. And everyone just took advantage of it on Twitter. And so we thought, in honor of this connection here, we want to capitalize on this. We're going to give you, who you know a lot more about Olivia Rodrigo than I do, let's be honest.
Of course.
60 seconds to make as many Olivia Rodrigo references as you can while discussing the Oilers and Kings series. Can you do this?
I can try. I will be powered by the power of sour, which of course is a modern day jagged little pill. Olivia, This is for you and your bittersweet broken heart. Here we go. Let's put a minute on the clock. You know, it was pretty brutal out there for the Edmonton Oilers because their goalie Mike Smith was a bit of a traitor, serving up a goal to the Los Angeles Kings. What a reckless play. Should take away that guy's driver's license. You know, as usual for the Oilers, it's 1 step forward and 3 steps back. I'm getting a sense of deja vu here as far as their problems in the postseason. You know what? Good for you, Los Angeles Kings. Is a 1-0 lead going to be enough for you? I don't know. Would you be happier with a 2-0 lead? Tough to say. But I know this, that the Edmonton Oilers, they're feeling jealousy, baby. And honestly, I think their favorite crime is keeping Connor McDavid out of the second round of the playoffs. Connor, I hope you're okay.
With seconds to spare. Do you got one more? Or we squeeze the lemon?
What, you want me to do the B-sides?
I'm impressed, okay? I'm impressed you actually went through all of that. So I don't know how many we counted. Let's just say it was 48 or something. But not bad. Not bad at all.
Thank you very much.
I didn't know any of those references.
Oh, well, there you go.
We put ourselves in a good position.
Sebastian Aho! What a shot!
We got to prove what type of team we are.
They had their way with us this year.
Turbo time in the playoffs! What a wicked backhand!
Just a gutsy effort from the guys.
We're excited to go. You know, it's the thing about playoff hockey. You can't dwell on the past.
I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down.
A bevy of Game 2s here on May the 4th. Are we going to keep these costumes on for the rest of the show?
We definitely should, man. This is the closest we're ever going to come to being Bob McCowan. For all of you Canadian viewers out there.
3 people got that reference, including me, okay? Anyhow, we're moving on. Boston, Carolina, that starts things off on ESPN. Let's talk about the format, first of all, because in the first round of these Stanley Cup playoffs, we have 2 series involving 2 teams with 50-plus wins, which equals the amount that has ever happened in history.
Right.
Which is absolutely bonkers.
But it's bonkers, except you're talking about the Eastern Conference, which was hot trash outside of the playoffs. I mean, like, that's why they had the 50 wins, is because there was absolutely no parity in that conference. My bigger concern, Mando, is the Western Conference, where you are watching a playoff format basically throw away the results of the regular season. I mean, like you look at the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues. There's absolutely no reason why the second and the 4th best teams in the conference should be playing each other in the first round, and their prize is to play the Avalanche, who just eviscerated the Nashville Predators in Game 1. So what are we doing here?
This is the current bracket.
This is the current bracket, right? So the Wild and Blues get penalized for being really good. Meanwhile, if you had it a different way, if you had it 1 through 8, the Wild would be playing...
So this is what it would have been if it was 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7,
and getting rid of the division winner caveat with the Flames. The Wild would play the Stars. That's a nostalgia series if I've ever seen one. And obviously the Blues would play the Oilers. If you went with the division winner thing, it would have been Wild Kings, Blues, Oilers. Either way, man, you're talking about trying to value regular season success more than this format did in the West this year. Doesn't happen every year, but this year there's absolutely no question that the Wild and the Blues got screwed over by this format.
Do you want to see the format change next year?
Well, you know where I stand on that. I am a playoff expansion guy. Of course I do. 16 teams, insufficient in a 32-team league. I want play-in games, baby. That's what I want for the playoffs.
I'm a fan of the play-in game. I love the drama of the one game, the Game 7 type atmosphere. Right. I am in agreement. I can't believe Chewbacca is so eloquent talking about hockey. How about that? Bruins and Hurricanes. Hurricanes, dominant in the regular season. We said coming into this series, we can put that aside. 16-1 total goals, whatever. And then they go on and have the game one that they had. If you're the Bruins, what do you need to do to try and claw back into this series?
Well, you need to get production out of your best players. Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand, nothing from them in game one. I think that'll change in game two. But for me, the biggest problem right now, and I say this as somebody who picked the Boston Bruins to win this series, is maybe we're looking at a trend. Maybe we're looking at a situation where this is just a really bad matchup for Boston. And it's not always like this. Like the New York Rangers, for example, owned the Pittsburgh Penguins in their last 3 games of the regular season, okay? But then last night, from the second period on, the Penguins had the better of the play at 5-on-5. But this Bruins team and the manner in which they've lost to the Carolina Hurricanes, do you think there's just something about this matchup that's intrinsically malfunctioning about the Bruins versus the Hurricanes?
I thought that the Bruins would have the best possible chance with Freddie Anderson out, but Antti Ranta had a great game. I thought that they didn't have much to complain about.
Right.
If you were a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I don't think you look at that game and you're like, I'm very happy with what I saw from my team in game one.
Right.
And remember, it was a pretty close game in the first period. It's just the Carolina Hurricanes just opened up the floodgates for the rest of the game, and they just added constant pressure to the Boston Bruins, finding the back of the net, and they just won their puck battles. And I feel like maybe the Bruins, you can't sleep on them because they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Yeah. They're the Bruins. You have the likes of Bergeron and Marchand, and you just can't sleep on that success. But with saying that, I don't see, after seeing game one, how Carolina doesn't continue the trend, at least in game two.
Right, and so Boston analytically was the best defensive team at 5-on-5 in the NHL. The Wild were second. They're both struggling in the first game of their series for whatever reason. I thought that Coach Bruce Cassidy did something interesting after the game. He didn't put any of it on Linus Ullmark, it was all right, it wasn't great. He didn't put anything on him. He basically said, look, we've got to finish our chances when we have them. And if they finish their chances, we'll see. I'll tell you this. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair tonight. I am not convinced that the Bruins will win. I feel like I've miscalculated on this series.
Yeah. If I'm the Boston Bruins, I'm having all 5 players behind the goal line in anticipation for the dump and chase. So the Carolina Hurricanes get to the red line, dump the puck, 5 Bruins players waiting to grab the puck out of the zone.
This is incredible. You're like a tactical genius.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, so that's the matchup here. Remember, this starts things off tonight. Our bevy of game 2s on ESPN and ESPN2. The Boston Bruins taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are up 1-0 in the series. Everyone has been giving their predictions. Who will win the Stanley Cup? Will the Tampa Bay Lightning repeat? Will it be the Boston Bruins or Carolina Hurricanes? Will it be another team in the field of 16? Well, enough is enough. I think here on The Drop, we need to give the one decisive way to determine who will actually win the Stanley Cup champion, or who will actually win the Stanley Cup and become champion. And we're going to get some help from our dear friend, Kylo Ren. It is now official. Congratulations to the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are Stanley Cup champions.
I just want to point out, I spent literally 4 days figuring out the analytics story, figuring out the lineup story, calling around sources, coming up with my picks. I didn't know mini zamboni with a bobblehead and bowling pins was on the table as an option. I had no idea.
And that's better than any analytics out there. So once again, congratulations, Toronto Maple Leafs. Great job by one of our producers, Shelby Lacey, for putting that together. For Kenny League and everyone in the control room, thanks for watching The Drop. Wyshynksi and I will be back next week for another edition. Enjoy all the Game 2s and plan the parade on Yonge Street.
Wow.